Two unemployed actors, two unemployed actors. They're just between projects.
Welcome back to Two Unemployed Actors. I'm Max.
I'm Sam.
And we have a great show for you today. I've got a Q&A from an Aussie theatre legend, a man who started not one, but two theatre companies, which just is amazing. Just to do one, let alone two, and they're still going. Also, another Netflix show that I'm watching and raving about. Plus, I'm back into my play. We've got news on COVID Australia.
Yeah.
So lots more. So make sure you like and subscribe on your favourite podcast platform. It's going to be a long one if I can't talk properly.
Yeah.
And we're on social media, Facebook, Instagram, the Twitters. We put the tweets out. Everything, because I work so hard for this show, so listen up. So, first of all, right, I had this opportunity to, thanks to the Hub Studio here in Sydney, to tune in with 50 other up-and-coming actors and listen to the wonderful John Bell, who is a master of the art of theatre. All up, according to him, he has a total of 12 minutes.
As in like Bell Shakespeare?
Yes, as
John
in the Bell. The Bell will put the bell in Bell Shakespeare. An amazing classic actor. And I think, as he said, very much for the theatre, because a total of 12 minutes is his career for television and film.
Amazing.
Not happy with everyone doing less is more to the point where they're just sort of kind of mumbling and you can barely see the lips move is his summary. But hey, I've seen him on stage. I think last time I saw him was Diplomacy, which is a great play. Look, the man is the artist when it comes to Shakespeare, hence the last theatre company set up was Bell Shakespeare, which is here in Sydney. And they have lots of programs. I didn't realise they even do programs for kids. And it's all about bringing Shakespeare to children. So the first thing you do, insults.
Oh,
there's
lovely.
so many insults in Shakespeare.
Well, like bite your thumb.
Yeah. So they teach the kids about the insults, and they all throw insults around, and they're already engaged, in a fun way, and then they sort of add layers to that. So I didn't realise they do a lot, and they've got a great theatre company. I went to see, the last thing I saw was Hamlet, actually, which I was absolutely raving about.
You told me.
It was amazing. And then who'd have known? Who'd have thought it?
COVID.
2 weeks later, boom, everything is closed. He
COVID.
mentioned that there's a theatre in Germany said it was like 1/3 full and moving forward with performances. The economics, obviously, of a half-empty theatre is going to be something we need to come to terms with. I mean, it's hard enough as it is for indie theatre to make a buck at the end of the day.
Yeah, with COVID on top of that.
I don't know how it works in the States or other countries, but we do have in independent theatre a large amount that do this profit share situation. So sign up, put the work in for the months of prep, rehearsals, and then, you're on for however many weeks, and maybe you'll get a buck after costs split between everyone. And that kind of it gets everyone up and treading the boards, but you wouldn't plan your bank account around it.
No, like I was meant, I was meant to get a bit of 3 weeks in spring profit if there was a profit, and there wasn't a profit.
It's very expensive to rent out the State Theatre.
Yes.
That was a big, brave call.
Yeah. It was the only theatre that said yes, apparently.
Really?
Apparently.
Really interesting about the economics, particularly because a large proportion of the audience are towards the elderly, when it comes to the Shakespeare, just the way it is at the moment in Sydney.
Well, they were there.
And they're going to not want to be going out for a while and sitting in large groups together for a long time.
Here's what I think, right? Because I see a lot of old people still out. I feel like old people are like, nah, I'll be fine. And they like go out, or if they had the choice, they'd go out, but they're like, I've been told not to. They don't I feel like old people are like, that. I won't get it. I'm fine.
I know. There's a bit of that, and I think it's supported by the fact that we have successfully flattened the curve, and I think that gives them more power to say, oh, well, we're less likely. And we're also loosening restrictions state by state here in Australia. So,
except today, did you hear?
No, what happened today?
Waverley College and Mariah College both shut down today because a student within 72 hours of reopening, or what I think it's something about 72 hours. They once students went back, like today, there was a case at Waverley, one case tested positive, one student, and within a couple hours,
shut the whole school down.
But then a Mariah student got one.
Right.
Got
the way they're handling it now, they're sort of relaxing restrictions across the board like across like the federal government are relaxing some restrictions. The states are applying those relaxed rules, at their discretion. But then they're fighting it sort of locally. So if something happens, then they'll do lots of testing in a particular area and shut school down, whatever, and do all that sort of stuff. It's the community transmissions that have been reduced, which is great. I'm not going to turn this into a podcast about the pandemic, but my point is,
insert pandemic segment.
Insert pandemic segment that could go on forever. But we're obviously it's flatter. It's better, and we're happier in Australia, that's for sure. And oh boy, I'm lucky I'm here and not some other countries. But basically what that means is pubs and clubs are starting to open, restaurants, cafes. It feels like normal, like when you're walking around outside. Having said that, when it comes to being able to put on the theatre production, that's going to be a while. That's going to be...
This industry is going to still take a while,
Yeah, I think end of the year at least when it comes to theatre. But, we're all guessing. We're all just guessing. That's if we think nothing else is going to happen, no second wave, etc.
Speaking of theatre, I'm in Spring Awakening, which is a musical, and I have been rehearsing through Zoom. But by next week, they're thinking we should be back in rehearsal rooms together. Yeah,
Okay.
and rehearsing. So that's pretty good. That's good news. It's weird over Zoom because you get those laggy, delayed lines when it's meant to be an intense scene.
I think Skype is better for sound, apparently, than Zoom.
See, the funny thing is, like, everyone's like, oh, Zoom, go to Zoom. It's like Zoom's now boosted.
Yes.
But it's been around for ages.
I've been seeing some ads for Microsoft Teams.
People say that's better too.
Bit late, but yeah, they've started to advertise now at the end of the...
I watched a Facebook video of a comedian telling her past self about the pandemic. Okay. And it's funny, so it's a weird thing. And she was like, you'll want to, bring out all your investments, just bring it all out and invest in Zoom. And she's like, the meeting webcam chat things? Yeah, invest it all in Zoom. Put it in Zoom. It's very funny. And it's weird trying to describe it because it was quite sudden. Like, it was obviously progressive since December in
Wuhan. I think we heard about it in this town we've never heard of in China in December.
This town we never heard
and we're like, oh, that's bad for them. Yeah, sorry. And then all of a sudden,
it was very quick.
Every day there was a moment in January, I think, the back half, where every day something massive was happening. We're turning on the news going, what can't we do today?
We thought the bushfires were going to be the defining moment,
and it was defining enough. But
now everyone's like, what? Bushfires? Oh, bushfires. Yes. Well, it was bushfires were awful, but now COVID's on top of that. Trumped it all over
and like I said, it sort of feels almost normalish now that we're starting to relax. And I can sit down at a cafe the other day, went out for dinner. It starts to feel a bit normal. I sort of forget that there is this global pandemic in full flight still.
I feel so fortunate at the moment because I haven't got COVID. We live in a great area.
Yep.
But I feel so sorry for people who have actually firsthand been through the bushfires and also been affected by COVID.
It's crazy because a lot of the area in New South Wales that was affected is tourism area. And even people within New South Wales can't travel within New South Wales until June the 1st.
The year 2020 is going to be erased from all the history books. All that students, young students, 10 years old, they're going to be looking at history books.
Skip it.
In 2031, they'll be like, 2018, 2019, 2021.
It's too depressing. Just skip it. I know there's a few productions in Australia that are going and a few planning to come back shortly.
Everyone wants to get back into it, and everything on Star Now is like, don't know what dates because of COVID, but once it's done, we're heading back into it. And
I've got 2 short film projects and the play. Greenlit, I'm in, ready to go whenever the new normal happens. So
amazing.
I have a feeling the play will be the last thing to go.
Amazing.
I've sort of started revisiting the script again because I put it down because let's face it, it's farce and it's very physical, so it's bigger than theatre normally is, and a lot of it is the doing. Yeah. So, I wanted to keep the line somewhat fresh, but not be off book for rehearsal, so that I can really work around what feels good and what feels funnier.
Cool.
But then I don't want to, with all the extra time I've been gifted, I don't want to end up off book. And then I'm revisiting it again, but trying to keep it fresh, not too much.
Yeah, fair enough.
I tell you what, it'll be the play I've spent the most time rehearsing for, in that I don't want to be too polished for the in-room rehearsals.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense because as we always talk about with Grant as well, like how rehearsals are really important. Like, you can do as much as you can at home, but as an actor, you need direction, and and that's the rehearsal process is where you figure stuff out. So something that I have to kind of get over and been working on is that I get frustrated when someone says something and it's a great idea and I didn't think of it for my character, which is not the right way to do it, because rehearsal is a process. It's a team effort that you need. That's the director's job. You know your character. Let the director direct you.
There's no I in team.
There is no I.
There is no Sam in team either. Just saying.
No, but there's an M. There's an M, like Sam. Oh,
sorry. Edit that bit out.
For two unemployed actors. So dumb.
Two unemployed random.
But yeah, no, honestly. Actors. So yeah, 100% rehearsal. You'll you work on it in rehearsal, and if you don't have your lines down, that's fine.
I mean, and everyone's got their own approach. I know some people love to turn up and be off book.
That helps though, because then you
Go on. But others want to be familiar with it, so they're comfortable with it, but not off book. But because they're going to be holding the script because they like to write down the blocking, get familiar with all the blocking stuff.
Yeah, well, that's early.
And in a fast, I'm coming in from one door, going into another, saying one line, going into another door, coming back. So it's almost like lots of little skits,
and that helps when you're
together. Because the issue is, I'm going through a door for the 30th time. Was this the time when I go to door 3? Or was it the time when you know what I mean? So there's so much in the physicality. I want to keep it somewhat fresh so that it can all sort of gel together.
Well, that's a similar idea that I had for like the last 5 years, because there's only 2 of us on stage. So you come through everywhere all the time, and you're like, which time is this and that, and it helps when you get on set and the space and all that stuff. But I think
we don't have. I know indie theatre. I'm not going to have that luxury until the paint will be drying the night of the performance, first performance.
But to be fair,
don't touch the door.
You grab it and you're like, oh, fuck.
It happened once when I was doing The Odd Couple, and I've gone through the door and I've just about to push it with my shoulder, realising the paint's still wet. I'll use the door handle, which, to be fair, the character probably would. And and then as I was going through one of the Felix's monologues, whatever, the painting fell off the wall behind me. So I just yelled at Oscar for being to his fault.
Nice improv.
It was,
but
worth mentioning.
I personally love being off book as soon as I can, because once I know all my lines like muscle memory, then in rehearsal I can experiment character wise and even like line wise, like change a few or like the tone or the inflections. If I'm on book, I feel like I'm not fully there. A bit more sort of but of course, like early in the process, you can't really help it, can you?
Yeah, no. But so I'm looking. Look, I just want it to bloody happen now. I'm so excited about this because anyway. That being said, there was more for John Bell. We talked for an hour and a half. We being 50 of us and 50 up and coming actors and John. Look, Johnny. There was some interesting things about how he learnt. You know, I mean, was part of the Royal Shakespeare Company in London, with the likes of Helen Mirren and all that. Back in the day, he learned a lot treading the boards rather than in the school environment, studying acting. The combination of discipline and technique with the emotional response and truthfulness, so you're not over the top.
Okay.
That and coming up and understand the text very well, like each word is particularly in Shakespeare. That was really interesting because for those of us who haven't spent a lot of time studying, 1,000 different ways to act, to be able to get some insight from someone who's quite successfully with their life experience, been able to perform to acclaim, some of the most difficult plays, some Shakespeare.
Very cool.
And being able to learn from amazing people. I think that was really interesting. I had the opportunity to ask a question, and I think I kind of accidentally maybe pissed him off a bit.
Oh no, go on. Of course.
My question...
Wouldn't expect anything less from Max.
And it was because they sort of said, open to questions, just pop it in the chat if you want to club. Like, I've got a question.
God.
I know it's a bit early.
Why are you so old?
Just parking my question there. Okay, we're open for questions. Look, the way the scene feels at the moment, up and coming actors, is that there's a large gap between independent theatre and the large companies like Sydney Theatre Company and Bell Shakespeare, for example. I don't want to make sure I'm not picking on Bell Shakespeare. For example.
To John Bell.
For example. And it can seem like it's almost an insurmountable gap to most up-and-coming actors. Is that your perception from your experience and your perspective, that gap exists? And if so, what advice would you give up-and-coming actors to help bridge that gap?
That's a fair enough question. If he got pissed off, he's probably just...
Is there a gap? Do you think there's a gap? What the guy? I'm like, oh yeah. Well, I mean, from both
Can he
sides.
hear you? He can hear you?
Yeah. I was talking to him, and see me. And I said, well, from both sides, like even from the other side, where do we take a risk on someone who's done short run indie to this demanding role that's 8 shows a week? Blah, blah, blah. Like it seems like a big leap. And he kind of went, well, I don't think there's that gap. At least there shouldn't be that gap. He hasn't been involved in Bell Shakespeare for the last couple of years. And let's be real, when he was up and coming, it was just after they were doing radio plays, and he started theatre in that era, and quite a long time ago. Look, at the end of the day, he's right. There shouldn't be a gap, and it should be this egalitarian world. Everything's all the same. Everyone's got the same opportunities, so talent just rises to the surface. He said that they should have, at least when he was with Bell Shakespeare a couple of years ago, a general casting a year, where you can throw your hat in the ring and maybe get in the room and maybe make an impression and maybe get cast that way.
Yeah, a lot of maybes.
The usual amount of maybes as actors get, and the directors of these plays should be like talent scouts out looking at indie theatre and spotting up and coming talent.
Yeah, right.
So I think it's the right question because there is a gap, and reinforced by the person who asked the next question. To build on Max's point, blah blah blah. And I've asked a couple of people from different sides of the industry, whether it's the people who grant funding, the people who run theatre companies, and yes, there is this gap. And I think I go back to what Mark Morrissey said in a Q&A a little while ago. Work can beget more work. Like if you have in your show reel, for example, lots of scenes from films, whether they be short films, student films, whatever, lots of scenes of you working on set, successfully nailing a character in this moment. Great, you're more bankable, you're more reliable. It's easier to see you slide into that film set versus someone who's got only monologues, so they're only acting with the camera
variety, okay.
as a self-tape.
Yeah, okay, so you want variety.
So you've got to have that, variety, absolutely, but certainly the more that can relate to you working. And when it comes to theatre, well, I guess, you've got to build up those credits. You got to go out there and invite casting directors, casting agents and the like, industry types that can help you get ahead to your performances. Yeah. And absolutely be on point and nail your performances. And then get another performance after that and keep committing yourself to the theatre if that's your goal. To get there. Because if you turn up and say it's an audition for Bell Shakespeare and you've had 2 Shakespeare productions and you've got 2 other productions and, if you can nail this part and they can see you on stage with them, you've probably got more of a leg up than someone who has done a lot of TVCs, for example. You know what I mean?
No, 100%.
So I think that's kind of where it's netting out for me as to how to bridge that gap.
Okay.
But it's just interesting, the guy is just amazing in his experiences and what he's achieved over the decades. I mean, to last 5 minutes in this world, but decades, I think, it's been a long time since he was up and coming. And we want everything to be a level playing field. But as we know, whether it's musicals, television auditions or, TVC, it's not.
How did you go with your casting networks library, self-tape thingamajig? Yeah, self-tape library is probably a better way of
Good question.
doing that.
Well, I mean, because that's what it's called. I remember because we sort of, it came out almost the day we were doing the podcast 2 weeks ago.
No, it did,
and we were kind of almost all over it, but not really. Like we knew enough to go, we've got to do it, but I looked into it, and sure enough, I thought, I'm pressed for time. Maybe I can pluck something and submit that. But no,
you didn't do it.
I did it. But what I did was I picked something that was familiar to me that wouldn't require as much commitment because I've been doing lots of voiceovers and stuff like.
Yeah. Okay.
But I know enough to know I really want this to sit on a database of the Casting Guild 100%. Of Australia, where all the casting directors are a member of, to be decent, and I can't miss that chance. It's like I've got all these paid stuff for voiceovers, but I want to invest my time and block my time to invest in future opportunities. At least that's what I was telling myself. Nonetheless, I picked a monologue, a favourite of mine. It got me the part in Lipstick from The Odd Couple because I'd lived with that script for so long and I love the script. Oh, I got it. Did you see that?
Yeah,
I've got light
good
box.
catch.
For those of you listening to the podcast, the light box just got
Freddie-
moved to the floor thanks to Frederick's ass. He's a sausage dog, so
He doesn't know where it is.
To be fair, he doesn't know where his ass is.
You don't
It's
know
just
where
so
your
far
ass is, yeah.
behind.
Yeah.
But anyway, well caught, Max. Oh my God, I can't talk today. What's going on?
That's not great for a
Yeah,
podcast.
No, it's not really. So I picked a scene that I was rather familiar with, and I had a lot of I had half a day, and I was just going for it in different, really going far out in different directions, and then I sort of brought it back a bit, and then did one that I thought was okay. I thought it was great, and then I went a bit more.
What monologue? From Lipstick, you said?
From The Odd
You
Couple.
did for Lipstick. Yeah,
I did
sorry,
that
yeah.
in the audition for
Yes.
Lipstick, and
Okay.
it got me the part, so I'm happy with that. So and it's really to me, and I really loved that character and love the script, so it made it easier coming back to something that was familiar. And I thought I nailed it, and then I thought, you know what, I'll do one more. I'll just push a bit more. And I thought I was going from, conservative business person to used car salesman, such a leap.
Yeah.
And being totally flamboyant. But it was good, so I kept it. That was the one I submitted.
Oh, very cool.
So I was really happy with that. I did do all their...
Yours was last though, right? In the age group.
No.
Was
There's
it?
an older age group than me, thank you very much. The 50 to 59 group.
I apologise.
Which I think they can still submit this week. But mine was last week, and it was
Yes.
submitted, the 40 to 49 age group, which is fine. It's fine. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, okay.
So, look, I was really happy with what I did. I didn't have to edit too much.
So I'm still getting over how old you are.
You've got to hold up the piece of paper with the details,
Yeah.
age, agent,
So,
and Casting Guild Australia, project for self-tape, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then I went straight into it.
Very
No,
nice.
except when I put it on the edit, I was, it's back to front, so I had to flip. And then I put aside my intro and then just dropped in my favourite take and edited it nice and tight.
Lovely.
Had
Yeah,
to
no.
be within 3 minutes and within 100 meg.
Yeah.
I think I made mine from 180 down to 47 meg. So
Nice.
maybe I
Well,
compressed
Jess and I did a scene, so we did a scene together, and we both sent in the same tape.
Okay.
But it was good. So we
Does
did.
one have the camera more on you or something, and one
No,
have
it's
the
the
camera
exact
more on
same.
her?
No, it's the exact same take, and but
I
we
could just picture like a 3-camera setup for this.
yeah. No, we did it with Grant, and it was more of a
good.
comedy scene and a couple scene, so
Okay.
it worked really well. And it's hopefully
That's good because you're
good.
both a couple and you both have a sense of humour. So come on,
yeah.
it's great.
Yeah.
So it's basically like you two just having a coffee.
It was a very cute one. It's kind of about what was it about? It was about how we're having a kid and I'm a nervous dad. She's a confident mum in a very basic sense,
Yep.
and I'm worrying about singing the song "Ring Around Rosie"
You
to
never say
our.
it, can you? Ring around the...
We both can't talk today. Ring Around Rosie, something like
Is
that.
that it?
Anyway, we were talking. I'm worried about what that song means and why are we singing it to our child. So I'm like, what it all means. Oh, that's cool. Oh, right, okay.
Which cult
And
came
they
up
all
with that song?
and they all fall down, dead, dead. All that stuff. So it's quite good. And Grant suggested to do something like that because a lot of them will be very dramatic, kind
Yeah.
of serious.
Yeah, that's why I
So-
went comedy. I think he's right.
Yeah. So that's good, and I hope we get some
Yes.
shiznit out of that.
Yes, whatever happens.
Yeah.
Some views or some casting
Yeah.
directors going, aren't they amazing?
And Jess and I also went for a commercial with McGregor Casting.
Oh, good.
They wanted real couples and real families and real whatever.
Right.
So not too
so
many.
you can be
attractive.
within that 1.5 metre.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Fred and I don't count as a
No. Of course not.
that'd be weird. In some countries.
You
no,
both.
sorry.
Yeah, oh no. You both sit and watch and drink wine together and.
Two bachelors.
Yeah.
He tries to drink my wine. Anyway,
Crazy.
enough
Give
about
him his
Fred.
own glass.
Back to you.
And it's McGregor Casting, so they may recognise us from the actor
Oh, yeah, you did
comp
the pitch.
because Kirsty.
Yes.
Because Kirsty was the.
Yeah, one of the
So-
judges.
So that could be cool. So that's interesting. And yeah, we've just been, I guess there's been heaps of, something came up today, like an Untitled Stan TV series on Backstage.
Yep.
So I applied for that supporting role because a lot of the lead males are Latino or Asian or whatever. And I don't fit any of those.
Not really.
But I'm an actor, I can do whatever you want.
Not even in the background with makeup, you still wouldn't know.
It's
It's all about authenticity, man.
But yeah. So there's been a couple of auditions here and there, and that's good.
It's good to see. It's positive, isn't it? I've
Yeah.
seen that too. I've seen a bit
Yeah.
more sort of start to pick up.
Exactly.
And there's always that caveat of we're not sure when to film, but we will be filming once we cast at some stage.
And I've started my own design page on Instagram called Folden_design. It's called Folden Design.
Fold it with Folden.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I said
That's
that.
pretty good,
Doesn't make
actually.
sense, but, yeah.
Should change it to that. But I started this fold-in design, so I've been doing these designs, and I want to sell. So I'm selling them as well. So I'll print them and post them. So that's a good way to earn some extra money if people
you've got to
want
have your survival job, and it's still creative.
It's still creative.
Well done.
It's not really a survival job because I won't be earning
Passion
that
job.
much, but it'll be passion job, 100% passion job.
Passion job.
You know the movie Snowpiercer?
Yes, the
film.
series.
No,
is coming.
the series. But have you seen the film?
I tried. I made it to the end, but I think I fast forwarded it.
It's a bit slow and it's a bit odd. It is by Bong Joon-ho, who did Parasite. How did you know?
I didn't like Snowpiercer. I'm just putting it out there right now.
It was a bit weird and a bit slow.
I didn't like it.
I think it's a niche taste.
Like I get there's different classes. And you put them all together and this huge, dramatic, under pressure and see how normal people act extraordinarily, etc. But the whole premise of the train just going around and...
I thought it was quite interesting in the sense that...
What if... who repairs the tracks?
Well, yeah,
What if a deer fell on the tracks?
It's a fantasy.
Okay.
All right. But
I struggle with fantasies.
I like the idea that it's... You can't have a plane because it would freeze because the world is frozen, blah, blah, blah. Train continually moves, hence it won't freeze to the tracks or whatever. So that's pretty cool. The eternal engine, don't get that, but
eternal
that's okay.
engine. But what about the bearings and the wheels that are eternally?
But the series came out yesterday. There's a series
yes,
about
I saw
it,
that.
and I do want to start that. See if it's good. See if it's. I know that it's a similar idea. I think by watching the trailer, it's set 10 years before the film is.
Okay.
So Chris Evans hasn't been born yet.
Okay.
And
there's a 10-year-old Chris Evans on there.
Yeah. No, he's totally a bit. No, yeah, that doesn't actually make any sense.
Maybe it's further back. Maybe it's a prequel of a prequel.
No, because it's 7. So what? So the TV show say it's
all
7
in the future,
years.
but
7 years after the world froze, and the film says 17 years after the world froze, and they talk about a past rebellion that had happened. So I'm assuming the TV series is about the first rebellion.
Yeah. So I probably believe it is fantasy. I probably like the more about how society breaks down rather than this the one look at society on the train. Yeah. Or different societies, different levels of society. I don't know. I mean, I kind of got what it was, but I just didn't.
It's weird.
Okay.
I mean, it's a niche taste.
Niche, yeah.
It's only for the intellectual, but.
Oh, my poor brain cells just bounce around going, where's the explosions? No, that's not it at all.
No.
I look, it just, it was a bit long. I don't know if I
give it a go,
a long
but
one. Please,
for
all of us, have a look at the series and let me know what you think. Because
I'll watch the whole thing.
It might just get me to watch the series.
One thing that you should 100% watch, Defending Jacob. I've spoken about it on the show. Defending Jacob. It's a mini series on Apple TV Plus. I don't know.
Apple TV Plus.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or minus.
I don't know, whatever.
No Apple TV.
It's a mini series. Only has 8 episodes. We've got one more to watch. It comes out this week.
Okay.
It's
Defending
Jess
Jacob.
and I were talking about it.
Check. I've got so many bloody
write it down.
apps, for viewing things.
Exactly.
I'll have a look and see. If
Jess and I were talking about it. It is one of, if not the best TV show we've ever seen.
Wow.
You are on the edge of your seat.
But then again, you did recommend Hollywood, and
I didn't say it was the best thing I've ever seen.
I got through 1.5 episodes.
I did not say it was the best thing I've ever seen.
Samara Weaving's in that.
No, the intellectual.
Anyway.
But I did not say it was the best. But Defending Jacob is you're on the edge of your seat. It's that sort of style, and you're kind of like, I don't know. Do you like crime kind of lore?
Yeah.
That's the stuff.
Okay.
It's very good.
Okay.
It's very good.
I will see if that's on Stan, Netflix, Amazon Prime.
If you hate it, then we obviously just don't.
I'll check all of my apps.
Check all of them.
One thing I was watching on Netflix that dropped recently.
Yes.
Inhuman Resources.
Haven't heard of it.
It's a French television series. I've got a couple episodes to go, but essentially, in a nutshell, a guy's been unemployed. He's been, a career. What?
You said unemployed. It just triggers. It triggers. I can't hear that word anymore. Go on.
Well, he was in. He was an HR director and 40 years committed to work life, all that, and then finds himself unemployed for a period of 6 years. Each year, more and more pressure. The wife's got a job. He's got menial sort of couple of night jobs, but he tells her he's out playing cards with the guys. Like he's really proud and wants desperately to get back, but finds that ageism thing happening of, well, you're too old, I want young people to come in.
Oh, no, yeah.
So there's all of that going on, that judgment of society. But 6 years looking for a job, an opening comes and he starts to get more and more committed to making it work, doing all these interesting things to find out about people he's competing with,
Okay.
and is that legit or not, or is it justified because of his situation or not? Like it's all this interesting premise for him to suddenly do something completely extraordinary all of a sudden
Okay.
that captures everyone's attention and instantly loses him any opportunity to get the job. But that's only like episode 3.
Oh.
It is worth a look. Absolutely.
Is it dubbed?
Interesting. Well, I mean,
Is this a French TV
it's on
show?
Netflix. You can watch. I mean, I prefer the subtitles because you get so much from the actors.
Yeah, the
I
dubs are
tried
so-
to do the dub.
yeah.
No, but look, Inhuman Resources. It dropped just recently on Netflix. I really like it. That's my
Okay.
choice.
All right.
And I'll look for Defending Jacob. It's
Have a
my
look.
commitment to you.
Have a look. Thank you.
You've been listening to Two Unemployed Actors. I'm Max.
I'm Sam.
And we will be back next week with another exciting episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
See ya.
Yay. Bye.
Two unemployed actors.